and welcome back to Age of Nagash, which is a channel dedicated to Age of Sigmar. And in this video I am excited as we are going to be talking about how to start collecting cities of Sigmar. So joining me in this video, which I'm, between me and you, more excited about, as we have got the lovely, the wonderful and beautiful Luke. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm well, thank you.
Good to have you with us. Luke,
thank you for having me back.
You're very welcome. Luke's been here a few times now. Probably going to forget some of the videos, but he's been in Why Play Living City. He was also in Why Play Nighthaunt. He was also in Why Play Chaos Dwarfs. Legion of Asgore. I was halfway between saying their new name and their old name. So Legion of Asgore, and you're inside. Oh, when we covered some like the announcement of Slaanesh, lots of other videos. Anyway, so he'll be joining us here, and he is a very avid Cities of Sigmar player, and you mainly go for Living City, don't you?
I do currently, yeah. I'm trying to dabble in some of the other, but I'm mainly playing Living City.
Fantastic. And you have actually recently started this army, as I know at the moment it's hard to like play games and stuff, but you have recently like made your financial purchase into this army as well, which is quite cool and quite relevant.
Yes.
So yeah, so with that, before we get started, I do just want to do a massive shout out to my patrons. So this is going to be to the people who keep the channel going. So it'll be my Morgasts, which are Sandback and Johnathan H and Filq and Bleed Red. My Vampires, which are Mir, Martin S, and Rouse321 and David A. And then my Necromancers was Jacq.l, RadiationRiley, AW77, Dice Sagas, WolfNick, Michal W, Quad, Cranky Wombat, Christopher F and Christopher C. And then Ronni H. So guys, thank you so much for your continued support. It really, really does mean the world to me. So with us getting into these start collecting videos, so I've done a few of them now. And what I will say is that this one in particular for Cities of Sigmar, it's such a large army and there's so many different ways you can do with it. I mean, I think when myself and you, Luke, were talking about it when we talked about why play Living Cities, and we had Alex with us, and Alex was saying there's literally like up to 100 different ways you could play this army in different like unit combinations and everything. So when we
that's just one city.
Yeah, exactly, and that's just one city. So like there will be a caveat to this video, and that is like we won't be able to cover every single way on how to start this army, and not because like in a bad way, but essentially just because there's so many different ways and we don't have all the hours in the day to be able to do it. So if there's anything that we've missed during this video and anything that you have thought of or agreed with or disagreed with, please let us know down in the comments, as it will be great to hear your thoughts, and we're all here to learn at the end of the day. So please let us, please do that and let us know, basically, essentially. So the first thing I want to cover is going to essentially be a little bit about their lore of Cities of Sigmar. Now, if you want to hear more on Cities of Sigmar lore, I really do suggest you go check out 2+ Tough, and Doug over there does a fantastic job on covering all lore on Age of Sigmar, so go check him out. Currently at the moment, the channel, at the time of recording, doesn't really have much lore for Cities of Sigmar, but I did cover a bit of their lore with the AOS Coach in the Why Play Cities of Sigmar video, so go check that out as well if you would like to see a bit of lore from myself and the AOS Coach. Okay, so now that we've talked a little bit about where you can find their lore, essentially the Cities of Sigmar are Sigmar's return to the mortal realms when he deployed his master weapon, which were the Stormcast Eternals. After that was the initial front to try and beat back the forces of chaos enough to start making little footholds in the mortal realms. And these little like candles in the seas of darkness, if you will, and these little candles are the Cities of Sigmar, and they just represent hope in the mortal realms to be able to try and take it from the forces of chaos and to try and bring some like peace and stability and normality to the mortal realms. Is there anything else you want to say about their lore, Luke?
No, you pretty much covered it well. It's kind of in the way that you have the mortal followers of the different chaos gods. This is the mortal followers of the of Sigmar.
Yeah,
it's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah, exactly. And just to say, if you are like quite new to Age of Sigmar, which I know quite a few of you people watching my videos are, and you're wondering who they are, basically this incorporates who the Wood Elves were, who the Dwarves were, who the Empire was, who the Dark Elves was, and some High Elf units and stuff as well. So if you're wondering like, oh, I like those sort of armies, where are they now? This is the book you'll find them in. Not all the units that are in the old world, but a fair amount of them are in this book. But they've got different names now, like Some of the Dark Elves are now called like Darkling Covens, like the Wood Elves are now called Wanderers and stuff. So you'll see a little bit when we break down into it. But anyway, so with the bit of their lore, now you know who they are. What I like to talk about now is going to be the first buys for Cities of Sigmar, and really all I'm going to say for the first buy, so what's the first thing you should get if you're going to start this army, is going to be their battle tome. And I know that just sounds like one thing, and it's just a book, which isn't the most exciting way to start an army. I think you would agree with me there, Luke, isn't it? It never really seems like the most exciting thing. We all want to get our hands on models, don't we?
I mean that yeah. I love the lore. I love reading in depth and getting myself really grounded in sort of how the army works and where they come from, and sort of work that into my list building. So I don't know, battle tomes always excite me. So I might be the antithesis of you here, but like, I love models. I love collecting, but I want to get the right models for me. So having that sort of book to really delve myself right into who they are and work out what I want is always a great starting point.
Fantastic. I was literally, good thing you said that, because I was going to then sort of hear you say, oh yeah, it's not the most exciting thing, and I was going to come back at you why it's exciting, because you get the lore, because you find out how to build your army from it rather than just shooting in the dark. And yeah, I'm glad you managed to say all that stuff for me, so that's fantastic. But no, yeah, you really need to have the battle tome. Obviously we've got the picture of the latest one on the screen that's got the great sword on it. Now if there's a newer book obviously of the battle tome by the time you're reading this watching this video, then obviously just get the latest battle tome. Don't just get the one that's on the screen, of course. That would be silly. But yeah, within here you'll find loads of lore, and the lore is fantastic, like I say, for the Cities of Sigmar, because if you really want to, I think the best thing about the Cities of Sigmar is that you can just relate to them really well, because they are like, I know, like obviously if you go elves and stuff, they're not maybe all mortals and everything, but if you just go for like the normal, like, I don't know, a free guard handgunner or something like that, you can probably relate to that person a lot more because they are a human being, right? They are a person. They're not some sort of like demigod being a Stormcast Eternal. They are not a Osirok Bone Reaper who is made of, I don't know, 3 skeletons and 4 souls. You can actually relate to that person pretty well, and then you can see how then you get a better understanding of how they feel living in this mortal realm of horrors, right? Which I think for me that would be a big tie I'd have to the army. It's just because like the personal connection you can have with the soldiers within, and you find all about how those normal humans and stuff survive in the mortal realms. And like we've already said, this is such a large army in terms of options. This book is, you know, your doorway into those options, and you could literally read this book for hours and hours and hours. I bet you have already, haven't you, Luke?
Yes.
Yeah, and like still don't know all the combinations. So there's loads to it, and it's really, really good. And it's a really good read for what I'm trying to say, for lore and for rules. So that is the first bar I say, so the battle tome. And then the next thing I'm going to do is going to talk about the start collecting boxes, because Games Workshop always says with their armies, if their army's got a start collecting box, they go, right, this is the best way to start the army, don't ask any questions, discount, here you go, boom, buy it, right? However, that's not always the case, right? And it's not always the case in terms of, also for this video as well, as this is a Sigmar start collecting boxes, I personally don't think are the best way to start armies unless you're going for a really sort of like tight thematic theme. So we actually have 3 start collecting boxes for the Sigmar. We actually technically only have 2 start collecting, but we then currently at the moment have a other one which is known as the Shadow Pact, which is actually released with the Broken Realms Marathi book. So I don't know if these are going to be here forever, these like Broken Realm Marathi boxes, but at the moment they are, so I thought it was important to cover them. But we then also have Greywater Fastness, which is going to be your like dispossessed units, so your dwarves pretty much, and then we get the Anvil Guard, which is your like pirateer units, and basically your pirate Dark Elves, if you're coming from a bit from a while ago. But the first one we are going to look at is going to be Karif's Shadow Pact, I think that was pronounced. So we would cost you separately, this one is going to cost you £85, right? But if you were to buy this box, it's £55, okay? So you've got a saving of £30 if you want these units. Obviously, different currencies are different savings and everything like that, but I'm not going to break down to everything currency because that would just take forever. So what do you get in this box? You're going to get one leader, and this is going to be the Dreadlord or the Sorcerer on Black Dragon. And what do I mean by Dreadlord / Sorcerer? So that just means you can either build it with a Dreadlord on top or a Sorcerer on top. And this is your leader. Then going on to Battle Line, you then actually have two options. So you get your Dark Shards, that's just standard, get 10 of those. But you do also get 10 Dread Spears that you could make into Bleak Swords as well. And that's really down to personal preference. I know you've had a little bit of experience, haven't you, with some of these Dark Elf units. Luke, what are your sort of thoughts on the 3 units you would get in this box?
Yeah, so when I first started out playing against you, I was really trying to go down the more thematic route rather than sort of quite understanding how it all worked. So I was putting together, complete just Dark Elf armies going, oh yeah, I'll really lean into this whole Dark Elf thing, which is a way of doing it. But you want a nice mix of units. But for this box, your 2 battle line is always useful for a box set. Really nice. The Dread Spears or the Bleak Swords are not your best battle line melee infantry, but they are useful if you're what you're really going to use them for, which is a unit to put around your sorceress, and you're going to sacrifice 1 a turn so she gets bonuses to her casting. And the crossbowmen aren't too bad. I think they're sort of just a bit better than the prequel crossbows. I just have to double check on that, but yeah.
Yeah, so if you want to go that sort of Dark and Covens in this case, or the old Dark Elf theme, it is useful. But it's thematic and stuff, but it's not going to be the most competitive. But I know that's not what everyone's after. I'm certainly not after the most competitive. So if you do like the Dark and Covens and the Dark Elf stuff, these 3 units you get in this box essentially all do work well together. It's not like, oh, actually this unit doesn't synergize at all. They all do work well together. Particularly more if you go for the Sorceress on the Black Dragon rather than if you go with the Dreadlord. Because if you go the Dreadlord, it still can be useful, but the Dreadlord I think mainly buffs the, what do you call it? Order, is it Serpentine?
Yes.
Yes, that's going to be your things like basically your Drakespawn Knights, that sort of thing, and then your Drakespawn Chariots and stuff. So it's good value if you want to go, especially heading towards the cities from the Marathi book, which were Mr. Harven, and then you've also got, I always forget this one, what was the other city called, Luke?
Harkuron.
Okay, cool, yeah. So if you want to go either of those 2, basically Mr. Harven is all about the Dark Elf units essentially, but if you go Harkuron, always forget that one. You can have some Daughters of Cain units in your army as well, so you can really sort of have that, like I say, Dark Elf thematic theme. And then going on to the Greywater Fastness box set, so this one separately would cost you £90, and what you're getting for that price, so you're getting £30 off because it's going to cost you £60 separately. You're going to get 1 leader, which is the Warden King and the Cogsmith. And then you get a battle line of Ironbreakers / Iron Drakes. So what the / is, it basically just means you can either build them as Ironbreakers or you can build them as Iron Drakes instead, however you'd like to. And then you've got another unit which is going to be your Gyro Bomber / Gyrocopter. So again, you can build that as either or on that one. And then this is useful if you obviously want to go down the dispossessed route for your army, as a lot of these units, they're all dwarven units, aren't they, at the end of the day?
Quickly, you do actually get the Warden King and the Cogsmith. It's not one or the other.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. You get the Warden King and you do get the Cogsmith as well. So that's going to be 2 things you get in the box. That's 2 leaders.
But yeah, no. So you're probably going to want to build up your main units there as the Iron Drakes rather than your Iron Breakers. They're very useful ranged unit. But Iron Breakers are very sort of good if you're wanting sort of defensive line on objectives or something. They can stand well.
Yeah, they can be.
And if you're wanting to build into more sort of a Tempest sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say they can be pretty tough on the objective, the Iron Breakers.
And if you're going down the Tempest Eye route, then a gyrocopter and gyrobombers are going to be very good because it's one of the few battalions that's not too bad actually.
Yeah, which cannot be said for all the battalions in the Siege of Sigmar book, but no, so that's useful. And if you want to go down like that Tempest Eye route, but then later you go, well, I want to try out other things. Iron Drakes are always going to be useful generically in Cities of Sigmar, so you'll get good use out of those. And then going on to the Ambleguard one. So separately, this would cost you £100, but the box set is going to cost you £60, right? So big savings here, but I personally don't think it is the best box, and we'll get to why in a moment. So what do you get? So you're going to get one leader, which is going to be the Black Ark Fleet Master, which is the peg-leg guy, and then you're going to get one battle line, which is the Black Ark Corsairs, and then Battle Line If, which is the Scourge Runner Chariot and the Drake Spawn Chariot. So you can build one of those options, not both in this kit. And then you also get for Behemoth, you get a Charybdis or you get a War Hydra. And again, you can build it how you would like. So I personally think out of all these three boxes, for me, the Anvil Guard one looks the coolest, right? I think I really like all those units in there. I really like the Charybdis or the War Hydra. I'd love to get and build that. However, just in the game, it's not, and I don't want to keep on going back to not the most competitive, right? But really, you are going to struggle to win quite a few of your games with this. And I understand if you're a really good player and you can play really hard of it, you'll do well. But it's hard to compete with some of the other armies out there. If you want to go, pure Scourge Pirateer is essentially what this box set is for. Have you got any thoughts on that, Luke, as well?
You are really wanting to lean down this route, and you do make your everything in that box is now battle line, which if you're really going to hit into Anvil Guard, you want to be your sort of Scourge of the Seas pirates, and possibly ally in maybe some Idenef Deepkin, really sort of build upon that sea theme. Then you could have great fun with this army. It'd be a very thematic list and would look great. Yeah, you're certainly getting good amount of savings. The Charybdis and War Hydra is not a bad unit. Quite fun to play with. Chariots, I think, are always an underrated unit in any army. They're good speedy. They usually have a ranged attack as well, so you can kite pretty well. It's not a terrible box. They're not going to be the best units out of Cities of Sigmar, but again, that really comes down to what sort of play style you're looking for. It's a very swingy army, really relying on the player and what they want out of it.
Yeah, I think some good points there. I'd say like with the War Hydra and the Charybdis, I do wish it was better. I mean, like I want to say, yeah. I want to say it's all right and stuff. It's just, well, every time I've seen it play, it doesn't do great. But what I will say, it's a great model. And it's also a great distraction to have on the table for your opponent. Because if your opponent has never came across one of those things before, they'll probably throw more at it than it's worth. So, you do have that. The chariot can be pretty good. There was actually a meta where a lot of people took those Scourge Runner chariots at some point. But it's a great savings box. And like I said, you want to go that pirate theme, you can do really well. Scourge Pirateer is essentially what they do in the lore as well, which I think is cool. Is they go around like hunting many of the beasts in the mortal realms and then like selling it on as like beast masters and stuff, which I think is cool. But then going on to sort of summarising the boxes, I would say the problem is if you want to play the most optimised competitive list for Cities of Sigmar, if you want to, like I said, there's so many different ways to build it, but if you want to go as strong and competitive as you can, which I know some of you people listening, you do want to do that, these boxes aren't really doing much for you. But I think that's something me and you can probably agree on, isn't it, Luke? Like if you want to go,
definitely, yeah. Yes. If you're sat there going, I want the best units in the most optimized list, your best bet is going to be get your book, look around, see what plays best for you, and buy the individual units is what I'm doing myself.
Exactly. And we're going to go into some of those units we think are good in a moment. But what I will say is I know not every single one of you thinks that way. And I know myself, I don't always build my armies to try and be as most competitive as I can. Because at the end of the day, I want to buy models I like the look of because I'm going to have to build and paint them. And I want to enjoy using them on the battlefield, not just what is the best on the battlefield, essentially. So I on that scene of things, I think they're quite good because you can really each one of these boxes. It doesn't feel like a jumble of stuff. They do thematically all like look well together. I think the Shadow Pact is probably the best one because a lot of it basically has all the same keywords if you build it with the Sorcerer on the Black Dragon or Sorceress even. The Greywater Fastness seems good and stuff, but like it doesn't all work as well. Going like all dispossessed units worked really, really well together. Like I can't remember the Gyrocopter, the Gyro Bomber is actually a dispossessed unit, or it's a.
It is.
It is
yeah.
Okay. So that's good. So
I think my big problem with the Greywater Fastness box is a lot of Greywater Fastness is about its artillery, and yeah, you can build a Gyro Bomber, but you need your artillery to be near your Cogsmith. The Cogsmith is not going to be moving up with the Gyro Bombers or the Gyrocopters. So if they'd gone with some artillery units in there, it would work well, but then it would take away from that dispossessed look, which I can understand why they didn't do it.
Yeah. So I get it, but obviously, if you like those sort of units, you'll like this, which obviously you can say for a lot of things, but it does work well together. But it could be tweaked and stuff. But that's why I think it's important to review these things in these videos, like I said, because Games Workshop says to you, these are the best way to start these armies. That's the only thing you need to know. Get on with it. And it turns out, if you want to be like top competitive as you can be, or what you want to do, or the most optimized, they're not going to be the most competitive. That's why we've broken them down. But what we have said is that you can still make basically all of them can still be an alright army. And if you really like that theme, you're really going to get the most out of them. So I think that's all I really want to say for the Start Collecting boxes. Is there anything else you want to add to that, Luke?
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's a fairly good summary of the three of them.
Cool. Yeah, essentially, like we say, not the strongest boxes, but if you really like those armies, you're going to have fun with them. I think is the best way.
And good savings. So.
And yeah, really good savings on it, which is like the main thing, isn't it, with a discount? So then the next one I want to talk about is going to be auto-includes. So this is going to be for things in the army that we think, no matter how you want to build the army, these are going to be things you want to have in your army. If you, again, sort of going more towards the competitive sort of like tactical edge, again, we've got like auto-includes here, and then we've got almost auto-includes. If there's anything that you think we've missed, like I said at the start of the video, or anything that you disagree with or anything, please let us know down below. Why? Because me and Luke aren't going to tell you the only things you need in your army here. This is like kind of telling you what we think is good, and then an open invitation for you guys to tell us what you think is good as well. I think is a fair thing to say. So the auto-includes that I'm going to say is starting off with Phoenix Guard, because Phoenix Guard is a very well-renowned unit in Cities of Sigmar, and I think I'm going to let you tell us why, Luke, because you are the person who has actually fielded these guys.
Yeah, so I mean, Phoenix Guard are, if you're wanting a good strong core to your army, you can take a unit of 30 of these, you take an Anointed as your general, so that unit of 30 is now your battle line. They've got a 2-inch range on those halberds with 2 attacks each. So, if you can get them all in on their 25mm bases, you're getting 30 attacks there, plus 1 from the Keeper of the Flame for the leader of the unit. But I think that their true staying power, as it were, is they have a 4-up after save. That is just such a powerful. So good. They have a 4-up normal save followed by a 4-up, standard save, and you get that on your Anointed as well. If you're wanting to go sort of all in on your Phoenix Guard and you wanted to run multiple units, run some units of a couple of units of 20. Take one of those as your honored retinue next to your Phoenix, your Anointed, and suddenly, if your Anointed's being attacked, you can try and shrug the save off of him onto your Phoenix Guard, and then you've got your standard save and then your 4-up save. So you're going to keep that general alive for a really long time. They're just a really strong unit. It's a big points investment, but you're getting your money, you're getting your points worth out of them.
Yeah, so you look at them. If you want to build, max size units, they are expensive in points. Especially compared to other stuff you could take if you want to call like infantry in Cities of Sigmar. But they are definitely worth their points because, like you've mentioned, firstly with their combat abilities, 25mm bases, 2-inch range. They're getting a lot of models into attack when it comes to piling, and then they also have, I think it's 2 attacks each, freeze and freeze, -1 rend 1 damage.
Yeah, and if you got your anointed to put his command ability on them, they're then re-rolling to wound as well.
They're re-rolling to wound. You can put all out attack on them, which is like the generic command ability that we pretty much all get access to by a couple of armies, which will allow them in the combat phase to re-roll hit rolls of 1.
Yep.
So you can, so then you're like standardly just failing on 2s to hit in all your attacks. Like that's just like, before failing a re-roll and stuff. And that's not even what they're known for, because as you've mentioned, Luke, they are known for their defensive capabilities, because they will, statistically, after they fail their save, which is hard enough in itself, will save against or ignore 50% of all damage done to them.
They have saved me in a crutch situation many a time.
they really have, right? I mean, they've been charged by plenty of nasty stuff from just me alone.
Yep.
I think they maybe survived one time a double piling from Archaon or something. Like they can really do so much, and then you can use them to, because in Sigmar you don't always, but you tend to field a few shooting units. You can use them to screen those units. Like I know yourself, Luke, you use them to screen your Iron Drakes in your Living Cities list.
Yep.
Which works really well, because and a lot of the time when I go against your Phoenix Guard, unless I have to deal with them, the main thing I do is just ignore them, because I'm like, I just can't kill them. Like, and I tend to run very offensive damage output things, and even I'm sometimes like, it's just not worth my time to kill them.
Yeah,
and you sorry.
Stick your Phoenix Guard on there. You've got 30 of them. That's more than most units that's coming at you. You're going to be living happy.
What's that? Stick it on the objective?
Yeah, stick it on the objective, and you're just going to be living happy, because there's 30 of them. They're really going to hold.
Yeah, you can talk about why Phoenix Guard is so good for really long, but I think that's why I had to put them as the first auto include. Because again, you don't have to take them, but there's so many different ways to build this army. But in our opinion, that's why we see them as an auto include. And then follow them up after them, I'm going to say a anointed. So this is essentially the Phoenix Guard hero, if you like. So you often see this guy on a Phoenix, or even more often so on foot, because he can make your Phoenix Guard battle line in the army, which works really well, doesn't it? And I know that's something you've always done, I think, pretty much.
Certainly since I dropped going just pure dark elves, yeah.
Yeah, because
as soon as I started to diversify, it was just that was the first thing that came into the list. I think the only slight annoyance is you can only get him on foot if you buy the Phoenix, but the Phoenix is a very good model. So
the Phoenix is a great model. Also, if you want to, of course, look at things like eBay and stuff, or Facebook Marketplace, and you might find someone who's trying to sell just a separate anointed on foot. It does happen.
It's how I got mine.
It's how you got your exactly. There you go. And it'll save you buying the whole kit. But like I say, the Phoenix kit is cool, and like the Phoenixes can be quite good, especially like the Frostheart one as well, which I know a lot of people like to take. And then going on to like our next auto include, is there anything else? Because the other thing I just wanted to say is Iron Drakes can be pretty darn useful in the army.
Iron Drakes are good if you've got a Rune Lord with them, improving that rend by another. So their standard guns are rend 2 and the torpedoes rend 3. That's going to hit like a truck.
Yeah.
Handgunners and Free Guild handgunners and Free Guild crossbowmen, excellent units, particularly the handgunners. 18-inch range. I've completely blanked on that all of a sudden.
It's something around there. I remember you hit me with it quite far away.
Yeah. 2 seconds.
That's okay, no worries. And would you say these sort of units are like auto includes? Would you say they're almost auto include if we're going for the Iron Drakes and the handgunners?
Handgunners and crossbows, I would say, are an auto include, but you have a decision between the two depending on your play style.
Okay.
I'd say the Iron Drakes, whilst a very good unit, are possibly more of an almost auto include, just because they don't have a ton of movement. They haven't got the longest range on their shots. So if you've got a very mobile army, I'm not sure they're going to do very well for you.
Yeah, I know you can go like the Soul Screen Bridge and then like try and teleport them in front of your enemy's army very quickly. But if it doesn't go well for you, you're going to get a lot of pain in return, aren't you? If you fluff your shooting phase that turn. Okay, so that's fine. So we put them as a almost auto-include. And then the Rune Lord, I would say, is almost auto-include then at that point to give them the extra -1. If you're taking Iron Drakes, you're going to take the Rune Lord, aren't you?
Yes, you should be, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't personally, but I know a lot of people also say that your battle wizards are an auto-include. I don't tend to go very hard into the magic side of the army, but most people who play usually do, and just because of the living city's ability with endless spells and everything, how they're always treated as though they are in their realm, it's very powerful.
Yeah, it makes those endless spells so much better. It makes them all basically, super pumped, or ultimate hype. Basically, their ultimate form, aren't they, for those endless spells? And then your spell laws can be quite good, because I know, like Living City, I know you say you don't really dabble in it, but when we review the Living City as an example, and the Why Play Living City the other week, it was shows actually just how useful some of those spells can be. And I know some of the other laws have good spells as well. So
there's plenty of very good magic in the Cities of the Sigmar book. I possibly wouldn't be the best person to talk on it, as I've not really used a ton of it yet.
That's fine, but we know that. So I will put the Battle Wizards as a auto include, because I think they can be very useful, and particularly if you just want to try some magic out as well. I don't think you'll really regret it. So obviously, what I will say is that if you go to things like particular armies, you're going to find things are more auto include than others. Like if you go for the Living City, things like Fulminators can be seen as an auto include because they're great on the charge with it coming in from the board edge. But what I would also say for not Living City, but just City Sigmar in general, Pistoliers can be a. Would you put them as a auto include, Luke? Out of your interest, Pistoliers, or are they almost?
I'd put them as an almost auto include. I always bring a unit of 5, but that's usually because situationally, if I know I need to, I'll use them as the bait for an auxiliary objective. They're quite fast. They're good at getting up the board. Their shooting isn't amazing, but if you charge them, they get to shoot again. So you have the potential of 2 shots in a round. You're re-rolling runs and charges on them, so they're situationally good. Quite a useful unit, but again, I think it's very situational. But that's the same with anything in this army. So.
Yeah, I think they're pretty good late game. Because when there's not things left on the board, and if the opponent is guarding an objective very lightly, you can sort of just send them in. If I've got 10 ghouls on an objective as an example, crit ghouls, pleasure courts, you could then easily with 5 of those Pistoliers clear me off and take the objective.
Yeah, you should be able to, definitely.
So they have got uses there. Yeah, so we'll put them as a almost will include that. Well, so that's really it we've got for the includes and almost includes and everything, because like I said, this is just from our experience and our point of view. And like I said, if you've got anything else you'd like to add to that list, please put it down below, because generally it'd be good to hear it, because this I don't think anyone can sit there and go, I know every single thing about Cities of Sigmar, I know every single thing that you need, what you don't need, I've done it all. And it's like, what, you've done all of those hundreds of combinations?
Yeah.
So, but I'm sure some of you guys out there have tried things that we haven't. So if you've got any advice, anything you can give us or other players and stuff, make sure you put it down in the comments. So then with that, the last thing I sort of want to do in this how to start collecting a Cities of Sigmar video is sort of then just talk roughly about the different cities, because the different cities are like sub-allegiances within the Cities of Sigmar. So if we first talk about the Living City, so this is your city where if you want to do movement shenanigans, or if you want to do teleporting shenanigans, with anything like that, like coming on from the, well, not really teleporting, but more like deep striking stuff, and you want to include Sylvaneth in your army, this is sort of the one for you. I know you can probably explain it a little bit better than how I've just done there, Luke, because you have run this a few times.
Yeah, so it's kind of your Alpha Strike army. You can bring, for every unit that you've got on the table, you can have one unit off the table, and combine that in with their command ability, which is the fire and fade away. Although that can be used, as we discussed in the last video, it doesn't matter which direction you go. So it's I'd say one of the more powerful cities, in the fact that you're just your opponent's having to protect their back line, protect the sides, be aware of where units can be coming in from, and you can hit and run in very careful techniques of where you need to go.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. And I personally love like movement shenanigans and all that sort of thing. I think it can be really, really nice, and you can just have loads of fun with it, right? So
yeah,
then,
I think it's fun for both you and your opponent because you're keeping them on their feet. They've got to think. It's not just well, everything's across the table and it's going to come straight across at me.
oh yeah, and like I've run Bellicor a few times against you, and it's like I really want to put it on your his ability of not making you be able to do anything for a turn or two. I really want to put onto the fulminators that you use, but
Yep.
they're off the board at the start of the game, so I can't. So then I have to put it on something else. So you do have like some play there when the opponent can do things where they pick something in your army at the start of the battle. You're off the board, so you can get away with it. So then the next one I want to quickly mention is like Hammer Horse. This is obviously one of the kind of bigger ones in the lore and stuff as well. And what are your sort of thoughts on the Hammer Hall city, Luke?
So Hammer Hall's a really interesting city because it's split across two realms. The city itself is half in Ashi and half in Gairan. So you get to pick. It's the only city you get to pick its realm, really. And sort of in that, if you're taking those battle wizards, you have a bit more freedom in the choice of sort of your realm spell you can have, realm artifacts and stuff. It's a very command point heavy army, but not in the sort of standard way of you're spending a lot. You get a lot out of it. So for the start of your hero phase, roll a dice for each unit that contains a standard bearer. For each 6, you receive an extra command point. You can also get extra command points from command traits and artifacts and stuff. So it's a very, if you're going to be using an army there, you're going to be wanting to use your command points a lot. Spent, getting that volley fire on some iron drakes or extra attacks. Rerolling ones on your attacks on an all-out attack, or give yourself some extra defense. Hammer Hall's great for that. So yeah.
No, man, that sounds good. I know, like, if you want to go Demigryphs, if you're like a fan of those older models, this will definitely be one for you. That's what I can tell you. You've got like a nice battalion for it. And then getting on to Greywater Fastness, which is, if I put it as essentially, this is the one you want to take. You want to go all out on shooting, artillery, or that sort of thing. The lore for it is a very industrial city in the realm of life. Funny enough, they don't really get on with the Sylvaneth. It's quite, so it's quite dynamic in the Grand Alliance order there. And what would you say about Greywater Fastness then?
Yeah, Greywater Fastness is kind of, as you say, your artillery and shooting one. It's not necessarily has to be a hold back and slow army though, because you've got your gyrocopters and stuff. You can still have plenty of maneuverability. But yeah, it really does come down. Really, you're probably going to have a good, strong front line. Maybe some iron breakers, or if you wanted to go that route, Phoenix Guard as a front screening line to stop them getting back to your shooting, and you're just going to shoot them across the board.
Yeah,
with handgunners, crossbowmen, iron drakes, and all the artillery.
Yeah, and just have a great time, really, can't you? If you love shooting, this is pretty much the one for you if you want to blow your opponents apart with black powder weaponry. So,
steam tanks. This is where you want your steam tanks.
All the steam tanks. And you can make steam tanks battle line in this one, can't you? You go so.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, which is brilliant, right? If you really want to go heavy on, tank warfare, this is the one for you. So then the next one, which is the Phoenicium, I think it is pronounced.
Yes.
Which
the army where you think you want to run all Phoenix Guard and you just don't.
Yeah, you think it would be the best one for it, wouldn't you? Because in the lore, it's all very much about the Phoenixes and the Phoenix Guard. But Phoenix Guard is still good in it, but it's not. It doesn't complement them.
No, I think the Phoenix Guard are never not good in any of the lists. Just problem is that it itself is just not a great city to play in. It relies on you having models killed for you to get your buffs, and that's never a good place to be when you can't bring models back.
Yeah. Which is, if it was a Flesh at Your Court, were you loving it, right?
Yeah.
If it was Legions of Nagash or something, but
Unless you're going to spam the Emerald Life Spawn for that city, I don't think it's going to be worth it.
Which is something you could do, but it's not going to be bound, is it? So that Emerald Life Spawn, so the enemy could use it against you and all that sort of thing. So there is that. But it'd be interesting. I think some of the lore for this one is really cool as well. So it'd be interesting to see what you can do with it. And then going on with the next one, which is going to be, I believe, Anvil Guard. So Anvil Guard is something we've already mentioned. That was how to start collecting for Anvil Guard. Now, this is an interesting one because not to spoil the lore for you and stuff, but your Anvil Guard now is essential as a resistance within what used to be Anvil Guard. So now they are going to be, well, you still get their rules and stuff, so don't worry about that. But Broken Realms from Raffi did change some things. So in Anvil Guard, they are very much, if you want to go Scourge Pirateers and you want to have like things like Hydras and Charybdis and those kind of Dark Elf units, this is going to be the one for you. But I know it is not the strongest.
So yeah, no, unfortunately they're really not the most. Lots of fun shenanigans in there. You get sort of your Drake Blood curses on your Hydras and Charybdises. So they're quite fun. Sort of, once they start taking wounds, you can start bouncing wounds back at people. And if you're really leaning into that more thematic play with friends, Anvil Guard is going to be a great time. You can make the army look amazing, really lean into sort of that sea, and if you wanted, break out into sort of the other Dark Elf units. But yeah, they're not going to be out there winning your tournaments.
Yeah, exactly. And like when I say these things, like when I go like, I don't think they're the best. No, I don't. Best is the wrong word, right? Competitively, I think is a better one to use. Like, and we're not all playing in tournaments, right? Like, this is something I came across a few times, and I always say this, is that for me anyway, when I play in my local area, my friends and everyone who I play against, they don't build all top meta armies.
Yeah.
Most of them don't go to tournaments. Like, so you're not always going to play against Lord Kroku. You're not always going to play against like very top Daughters of Cain armies or Deepkin armies or something. So shouldn't always need to worry too much about your army being like one of the strongest. So that's just something I want to add on to that.
Yeah, completely. I mean, I'm currently working on. Yeah, I'm currently working on a second Living City list that's going to be complete. That's kind of very thematic, and it's all Wanderers and Sylvaneth and stuff.
And can kill an RK on turn 1.
Well, yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, that was a good moment. Okay, so then going on to the next city, which is a popular one because it is Hallowed Heart, and this is all about your magic. All about your magic. Yeah. It's got a large spell lore. You can take a battalion and you can end up essentially, I think there are various ways so you can build up your pluses to the cast to be like +5 to cast or something, or +4 to cast maybe. Like, you can go
you can get
silly good,
really, really good on spell casting with this.
And especially how we said, spell casting is very strong in this army, especially if you want to fling loads of endless spells at one. 2,000 points you can fling out 3, can't you? But you can really make the most out of it. And if you really like that magic, you've got this. But just bear in mind, if you go really in on the magic of this, you don't have really too many points left over for other stuff.
Yeah. Well, if you were going for the battalion, that's 3 to 6 wizards.
Yes.
So, yeah.
But
that's an astounding number of wizards. So they're 110 points each. So looking at 660 on alone just for that.
Yes, but if you want to feel like Harry Potter when he was told that he is a wizard, this is like the one for you, right? If you want to just have a great time with rolling 2 dice and getting your spells off. Because there will be times where, I don't know, you'll get a spell off on a 12, and then you'll go against a Nagash, and Nagash will go, I'll try and unbind you. And let's say he rolls a 12, you'll still go, yeah, you haven't unbound me. You can outbeat, like a little battle mage, a little human, an old man can outbeat the undisputed god of all of undeath, right? So you can have some fun with this. So with that, then going on to another one, which is a Tempest Eye, which is, I know, can be quite cool as well, quite good. It's quite good for alpha striking.
Yeah,
I think, because you can add one to your save rolls in turn 1, and you can also add 3 to your movement characteristic.
But yeah, no, and sort of really not another fun aspect of the force is the fact you can bring in your Carcadron overlords, so bring those Sky Lords down
Yeah,
and
exactly.
sort of support all your cavalry, and it's a very kitey army. You're wanting to do a lot of hit and run. This is where you're going to take those Pistoliers and Outriders in a good number of force, because if you were to take them in the battalion, you can start giving them sort of almost hit and run tactics. It's the Aether Guard Wind Riders. Units from this battalion can retreat and still shoot and or charge later in the same turn. So you could take a unit of Pistoliers, retreat out, shoot, charge, and shoot again on the charge.
Yeah, like you can really stack this and stuff and have great fun with it. I think I've seen like some. I know you showed me a list actually, didn't you, Luke? Where it's just like everything is Pistoliers practically in the army and some Gyrocompasses.
Oh yeah, it was the Free General on Griffin, 6 units of Pistoliers, 2 gun haulers from the Carcadron Overlords, and then it was two units of 3 gyrocopters, a single gyro bomber, and a cogsmith. And yeah, it was just it's not going to win many games, but God, you're going to have fun playing with it.
Yeah, just waves upon waves upon waves of Pistoliers going into you. Right, as long as you're not the Pistoliers who go in first, right? As long as you're, I don't know, you're wave 4 or something.
Yeah.
Proper World War One tactics. So yeah,
keep charging. You'll break them in the end.
yeah, exactly. That's it. The enemy won't see this coming. So they're all the ones you actually get within the Cities of Sigmar book. So with that aside, you do actually have 2 other ones. So obviously with all Cities of Sigmar, you can ally in, every 1 in 4 units can be a Stormcast Eternal unit. That's just a thing that we've talked about before. And then for the temp side, like we just mentioned, you can have 1 in 4 can be Caradon Overlords. And obviously Stormcast can be included in that. But Living Cities, you can have the Sylvaneth as well. And that's just something I just want to quickly mention now before we move on to the next 2. Because you may be going like, oh, do I want to buy the Stormcast Battle Tome? Do I want to buy the Sylvaneth Battle Tome? I'm going to say no. Because unless you want to go into those armies, you're not really making the most from buying those battle tomes, because you're just literally using the war scrolls for units you take from those armies, which is that's exactly it. So don't need to worry about buying all those battle tomes. Obviously, if you want to find out more about lore and all that sort of thing, and you want to dive into them as well, go to your heart's content. So the next 2 I want to talk about. So I'm going to say this one while I can still remember it. Is Archeon? Is that Archon? Is that right?
Harkuron.
Archeon, oh, for God's sake. I've literally been playing with Archeon so much that is permanently in my mind. But this is the one we're talking about, where you can have 1 in 4 units can be Stormcast, or can be Sylvaneth or Caradon Overlords, depending on which city you go for. Tempside and Lim City, obviously. With Harcheon, got it right that time, didn't I? So
Yep.
fantastic. We'll end the video there. No, so with Harcheon, what you can do is you can't have Stormcast, and you can't have Sylvaneth, or you couldn't have Caradon Overlords, as the other example. But you can have 1 in 4 units can be Daughters of Cain. And the reason behind this is because Harcheon is, as far as I'm aware and I can remember, it is what Amberguard used to be. And the reason why it is now Harcheon rather than Amberguard is because essentially Morathi took it over. Long story short, it now belongs to her and not Sigmar. But you can still play Amberguard because, like I said earlier, you're the resistance in Amberguard trying to push back against the tyrant that is Sigmar. Sorry, Morathi. They're both kind of tyrants in my mind. I think Sigmar is a traitor. But anyway, so you've got that one, and it allows you to bring some Daughters of Cain units in if you would like to. The reason why you can't take Stormcast units, like I mentioned, is because you ignore some of the Cities of Sigmar rules, which can make it then have a bit of a tougher time, because some of the rules that you're not going to get because you're from Morathi City essentially means you're going to miss out a few things, but it depends what you really want to go for. And then the next one, which is Miss Harvin, is all about drugs, alcohol, everything like that, isn't it? Because you're going to get access to narcotics, which are ways to help out your heroes in the army.
Yeah. You sort of create a line in front of you and let all your heroes hide in the corner and do whatever they want.
Yeah. And it's all, and this is all about Dark Elves as well, right? Because these two
Yeah.
cities are like I think pretty sure you exclusively have to take like Dark Elf units. I know you
Yeah.
do for Mr. Harvin anyway. So that's I wouldn't say these two are the strongest from Marathi, and that's why I didn't say you need to buy the Marathi book at the start as well, because I think you're not getting the most out of these. But if you really want to go like, I want to see the Sigmar army that's all like based on worshipping Marathi and like it is loyal to her, then here's your option, and here are rules to reflect that. So you have got that there. Being Harkion. So with that, I think that's pretty much all I want to talk about in this how to start collecting Sigmar video. What I will say is, like we mentioned at the start, this is an army that you could dive so much into in terms of how you want to start collecting it. So I knew going into this that Luke has done a really good job, but I knew that I would not be able to do it complete full justice because there's just so many ways you can do it. And that's not a bad way. That's just a cool way, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's sort of what drew me, and I know draws a lot of people to this army, is the sheer diversity of it. And there's more to come. The next Broken Realm book that's about to come out, is it Techless?
Techless, yeah.
Yeah, we've got more cities and Sigmar cities coming in that, so it's ever expanding as well.
Yeah, and it's going to be so like. So people have said like, oh, is it a safe one? Because there's some older models and stuff now. I don't know. Games Workshop might send it the way of the Tomb Kings and the Bretonnians, or then the Bretonnians are still here in flesh at your courts, aren't they? So what they might, Luke being an old Bretonnian player, so are they going to do the same way with these Cities of Sigmar? I don't think so, because I think Cities of Sigmar in the lore, they're really crucial, because if they were to get rid of Cities of Sigmar, Games Workshop gets rid of the connection that we can have within the Mortal Realms by us being able to relate to the free people. So I don't think they will get rid of those. For sure, there's no chance they'll get rid of them in the lore, but I don't think they'll get any new models for a very long time. There's a chance they may get new models in the Warhammer Underworlds, Warhammer Quest Cursed City. They could get a few new models in that, as we've seen for the warbands, for the Defiance within the city, but I don't think they're going to get new models. That's just something to bear in mind there. So if you're wondering, maybe you should hang off, start collecting these guys until they get these new, maybe some new models, I wouldn't worry about it. I'd just get started, get the models. A lot of them still do hold up, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. And what I would like to say as well is, during this video we have had annoyingly some connection problems with the microphone, so I'm going to try and edit them out. There's been some Wi-Fi issues essentially, and so hopefully you won't notice, but if there's a little bit where it sounds like our audio jumps just a tiny bit, or like a word is cut out or something, that'll be the reason behind that. So with that aside, I want to say a massive thank you to my big man Luke here for joining me in this video. Thank you very much for sharing all of your experience, and this is experience that will just grow over time. I'm sure if I was to do another video similar to this in years from now, there'll probably be even more stuff we could talk about on how to start this army, right? There's just so much to it.
Oh yeah, definitely. And everyone plays around with different things. You find new little niche ideas for what a single unit can do. I mean, I've been playing with them for, what would you say, we're nearly at the 6-month mark now?
November time, I want to say, roughly is when we start.
Okay, yeah, so even less than that. And I've only just started tapping into the Wanderers units. I've recently fallen in love with the Sisters of the Watch. They're a fantastic unit. But yeah, no, it's mad how many ways you can use this army, and how many combinations. And I think the thing to take away is, how do I start collecting this army? Well, you go onto the website and you open General Alliance Order, and there's your list. See what you like and work with it.
Yeah, practically. And I think they've got so many units. And like I say, I hope that what we've done in this video, what we wanted to do, we're never going to say this is the only way to start collecting. But in this video, we just wanted to give you some ideas and just share some experience, and just to try and help you along the way. Because I'll be honest, if I looked at this book, I do find it a little bit daunting because there's just so much choice. So hopefully in this video, we've helped you go through the seas of uncertainty of what is good to get, what isn't good to get, and hopefully we've helped you at least be able to make your first purchase by getting the Battle Tome. That's an easy one, but first purchase and getting models as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, so with that, guys, I want to thank you all for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, remember to smash that like button, that subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you have, make sure you press that notification button, a little bell, because it might not seem like a lot, but it massively helps out the channel. If you do, it lets YouTube know that basically to promote the channel more, essentially. And if you would like to support the channel a step further, I have got a Patreon, like I've mentioned. You'll find a link to it at the top of the description down below. And anything you could give, guys, even $1 a month, goes straight towards keeping this channel going and trying to help as many people with Age of Sigmar as possible with these videos. And on that note, I would like to massive shout out to my patrons. So these are going to be my Morgasts, which are Sandback and Johnathan H and Filq and Bleed Red. My Vampires, which are Mir, Martin S, Rouse321 and David A. My Necromancers, which is Jacq.l, RadiationRiley, AW77, Dice Sagas, WolfNick, Michal W, Quad, Cranky Wombat, Christopher F and Christopher C, and then of course we've got Ronni H as well. So guys, thank you so much for continued support. You really keep this going, and I don't know what to say. Huge thank yous to you for all your kind, basically warm-hearted donations towards the channel. And with that aside, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video and you're staying well out there. Remember to keep on staying well, to wash your hands, stay hygienic, for God's sake, wear a mask. We'll start playing games again soon, and even more so if you're going to start a Cities of Sigmar army. But more important than any of that stuff is remember, until next time, that Nagash is all, and all is one in Nagash.